unexpectedly, I came across Will, who had just finished the discharge procedures from the hospital. What a living joke this guy truly is. Be quiet, you darn rascal. You little rascal. Thankfully, Dalton was unharmed, praise be to God. But still, by the time he made it back to the boat, Will's gun was already positioned there, ready to fire. Rascal, you rascal. Rascal, you rascal. Wow, in just a few moves, Dalton effortlessly threw Will into the water. He didn't mean to kill but forgot crocodiles below. By rescuing Fultz, it was too late. Will became a crocodile snack. When police arrived to retrieve Will's body, nothing was left. After searching, they found nothing, escalating tensions between Dalton and Brandt. But Dalton stayed defiant. Leaving Charlie's, Brandt's goons reappeared, shouting, "Get the car. The boss wants to play with you." The guy pulled out a gun thinking he could scare Dalton, but Dalton found it hilarious and was amused as they got. Dalton chuckled helplessly, acknowledging with a touch of defeat that this might indeed be the time to instruct them on what constitutes genuine intimidation. I work on the corner every night without fail. Constantly visited by these minions, Dalton grew impatient and asked Frankie their intentions. Why are they fixated on the restaurant? Frankie said he wasn't sure either. Dalton sensed this situation was no walk in the park after asking around. The Brandt family is basically the puppet master of Glass Island, planning a development project. They can't get their hands on the restaurant business, so they keep causing trouble. Just then Dad called, and Brandt didn't dare to. He threw his phone into the sea. That night, an eager man jumped from a motel window, caught red-handed, but still waved goodbye to a pretty lady stylishly. Then he swaggered into the night market, and not far away noticed a piece of clothing that looked just right for him. This muscular dude is Knox. Brandt's dad hired this strongman clearly to deal with Dalton. Unbeknownst to him, Dalton was happily accepting an invitation from Dr. Ellie for a day out. They sped out to sea on a speedboat, reaching a beach near an island, happily drinking a few bottles of liquor. With the liquor kicking in, Ellie confessed her feelings to Dalton, but their bliss didn't last long. After Ellie dropped Dalton off, the police came knocking, and the sheriff gave Dalton quite the talking to. Just when the sheriff was about to force him off the island, Ellie drove up, and Dalton finally connected the dots, instantly clearing up his confusion. Turns out the sheriff is Ellie's dad, once with the Brandt family. Outwardly tourism, but actually drug trafficking. This lined up pretty much with what Dalton suspected, prompting him to reconsider whether to stick his nose in this mess. That night, Brandt personally showed up at the hotel with video footage of Dalton knocking someone out in the fight scene, trying to rub it in. To Brandt's surprise, Dalton didn't say a word. Once Brandt left, Knox swaggered in with his entourage of minions, wearing an extremely smug grin and demonstrating astonishingly strong combat skills. The hotel turned chaotic instantly. Dalton stayed seated. Hearing his name, he reluctantly approached Knox. Knox is a fight junkie who relishes in the thrill of brawls. Dalton wasn't scared of him, he was scared of himself. In the octagon, he once killed an opponent in a fit of rage, unable to stop until his foe expired. He didn't want to get tangled with the Brandts again, fearing another accidental killing. So, he stayed calm around Knox. After being tossed out, Dalton returned to his senses, his eyes flickering with murderous intent, but he held himself back and returned. He had packed his belongings and was ready to depart when unexpectedly Frankie showed up to persuade him to stay. Frankie admitted that he had been concealing the truth all along. In fact, he had known all along why Brandt was targeting him. He thought Dalton had left out of fear of Brandt's power. Are you really scared? Yes, I'm scared. More than you can understand. Dalton dragged his luggage over to the bus station and saw numerous police cars. Brandt's guys had set the bookstore on fire to drive him away. Dalton, who was planning to leave, felt bad for those idiots. He headed to Brandt's villa and caught the little arsonists cleaning up. The moment they saw Dalton, they nervously pulled out their knives, ready for action. But Dalton punched one in the throat, sending him into the pool to drown. Soon, he emerged carrying a body. The dog-fixing cars outside saw this and instantly grasped the situation, clutching his broken arm, and obediently told Dalton. Brandt had a deal on the beach early this morning and quickly sped off on his motorcycle. At dawn, Dalton dragged a body-filled suitcase to the beach where Brandt was having his deal and spotted a cop dragging a suitcase toward a boat. He stealthily attacked the cop from behind, knocking him out. When he opened the suitcase, he was taken aback to find it stuffed with. Dalton set the speedboat to autopilot and drove off while casually putting a few bullet holes into the body right in front of the car. He knew that this wouldn't get him off the hook completely, but at least it would buy him some time. Then he grabbed a stick and knocked out the corrupt cop before returning to his boat. As he was working on his plans for explosives, he didn't expect the sheriff to come knocking. The sheriff claimed Ellie had been kidnapped by Brandt and wanted Dalton to hand over the cash to help him rescue her. Dalton didn't trust the fox, but didn't risk Ellie. He sent the sheriff away, then headed to Brandt's yacht solo. When he arrived, the sheriff and Brandt were lounging on the sofa, completely giving off the vibe that no daughter was kidnapped. The sheriff shamelessly stated that the kidnapping was all a setup to play him.